I have one side of the story. Basically, you've you've got autism. You've got you've got to convince now now that you have a diagnosis for your like a roadmap for how to handle your stresses, your previously not well managed stresses, which can you would think be very obvious, but you've been masking for so long. No one knows how it's working out for you. No one knows how far down in burnout land you've gone. So this is a Reddit post where a guy's like, "Am I the asshole? Am I overreacting? My girlfriend said she had autism. I said, get a diagnosis or stop telling people you're autistic." The thing is, like, it's so my life right now because I haven't encoded for using English in my life. I have not. This is the best I can like. This is the best English I can. It's not. I don't. It's not about good or bad. It's just when you see other people blowing bubbles, right? And you dip your wand into the bubble thing, and you're fucking blowing everywhere. Um, uh, Everybody else sticks their thing. Just they don't even have to blow. They don't even have to blow. I love this guy. I love this creator so much. He's smart and he creates smarter content than I do. He had people helping him English it up, I think. I think he cared enough to English it up. I didn't. He actually talks and he writes, yes. I love that. He writes, yes. He not writes it, wrote it, writes it. Here I am. YouTube Live. Meditate. I like to meditate. Probably the reason is not as spiritual as people would like to think. I want control. I want to feel in control. I want to feel in control of something in my life. My life didn't, can't see the traumas, right? Anyway, emotions like needing to feel safe. Like that's not emotions, needs. Emotions get expressed. So other people are getting their emotional needs met by other people. I have to keep reminding myself that I'm one of these individuals in this human species. Sun and moon. I am star stuff. Rooted in the earthly adventure that I am on. Rooted in the me that is on this planet adventure.
And they're often much shorter than that. The OP claims that his girlfriend says that she's always felt different and now says as an autistic person constantly and uses that's my autism as an excuse. He doesn't think she can be autistic because she's able to read social cues and she's extroverted and loves clubbing and concerts. And they had a public fallout and he's now turned to Reddit and now it's here and now it's on this channel. Still, we only have
And now it's on
one
this live
side
stream.
of the story. Maybe she's genuinely having a light bulb moment, an
Now
existential crisis
that's
of some sort,
telling. That's telling because
that she's found.
we know how dominant personalities work. We know their voice carries farther. We know how this shit goes. We know how this shit goes. It flies, actually. You wouldn't think. You would think, oh, gravity, it comes out the bottom, so gravity and should all work. No, this shit. Ta-da. This shit. Yes. Yes. Let me eat all your ideas about what's a bad word. I'm a bad word. I'm the bad word, man.
That she might feel explains her past experiences perhaps a little too accurately. At some
I
point,
just mean
every late diagnosed or late
we
identified
all
autistic
are
person, let me
not
know if you think I'm
logical.
wrong here.
A
Has read
hundred
that
percent
first
logical. We're
video,
not built.
watched that first video that sparked a thought. On the other hand, maybe she is using
And
it to describe some
finished.
sort of personality
Yeah, we're
disorder.
fixed the sign.
She's possibly
Namaskar
confusing autism with
2026.
ADHD, maybe, or anxiety,
Enraging me in
or a
2026 to
combination of
start
all,
the year
or
right.
something else entirely. We don't know. We don't know what she's seen. We don't know this person. And of course, the facts are that this is a short, one-sided Reddit post looking for validation. Posters often leave out details that would make them look worse to people. And it's also possible that maybe she miscommunicated. Maybe she doesn't fit his preconceived ideas about what an autistic
That's
person
my
should
inclination.
look like. Maybe everyone's just a little bit tired.
I don't
Maybe
think he
this is
has
posted
any
around the
idea
holiday
of what an
season, so
autistic person looks like.
just misunderstanding each other at Christmas parties. Where it gets interesting is that there are hundreds of comments that seem to side with the OP, saying that the girlfriend is being insulting
Of
to people
course
with
there would
traditional
be.
autism, or
It's
cringe,
logical.
gross and disrespectful, treating autism
Yo,
as a
best new
fundamental.
year to
She's
you.
behaving
Crow grower.
aggravatingly towards
Crow
actual autistic
Oregon.
people, and that the OP was right to demand more
Oregon.
recognition. Get to that later. The thread
I
has
like you.
exploded with
I
comments,
like
nearly
you a lot.
3,000 of them before this
Yeah, your
launched.
choice of
The vast
username
majority are siding
speaks.
with the OP, agreeing that the girlfriend is likely not autistic at all and commenting that her behaviour is offensive. In fact, quite a lot of the comments themselves are pretty offensive, and many of them even come from other autistic people not overreacting. I'm actually autistic, and people like her make life genuinely harder for actually autistic people because people are less likely to believe us, and we're in turn less likely to be able to get accommodations or support. There's a few people like this, and I'm willing to bet that if she were to meet an actual autistic person, she'd be incredibly ableist upon being presented with actual symptoms and likely to make them seem like the liar. She's a piece of shit for this.
That
Now,
can
maybe
all be
you
true,
think
and she
my
could still be
that if you
autistic.
met one autistic person, you've only met one autistic person. Not overreacting, was amused by the specific hobbies like animals and books. Could not think of anything less specific if I tried. And what's not being said here is the intensity of the interest. Using myself as an example, I have an interest in cats. I have 15 of them, nearly all of them are from rescue shelters. I have a diploma in feline studies, and I've spent years volunteering and eventually serving as an unpaid charity director of an animal shelter. Now, if someone were describing me unkindly, they could play down the intensity dial of the interests and just say, I have an interest in cats. But that would be an understatement, a trivializing fallacy. a reducto ad absurdum to make something that could be highly or unusually intense into something unremarkable and equivalent to just a hobby. The yellow flag here is that autistic girls are often overlooked on this specific issue. A girl who has intense interest in hobbies or an extreme interest in, say, like a celebrity or something, that could just be like passed off as being just a girl. Whereas a boy who just looks stereotypically at a steam train for just a few minutes too long, and maybe he was just admiring that Hornby R3682BR Blue 462 Princess Coronation Class Duchess of Gloucester number 46225 steam locomotive. He's just looking at it through a shop window for a little, a little bit too long, and all of a sudden it's anoraks and thermos flasks for Christmas and resigned acceptance from his family. I wonder what these books that she's interested in actually are. It's not necessarily diagnostic, but it might be a clue. These are the sorts of questions I would ask. The American DSM-5 TR, which is the manual that contains the diagnostic criteria for autism, has categories A through E,
Yeah.
and 2 points out of the 4 from category B are required for a formal diagnosis. One of them being,
my husband used to ejaculate prematurely until this.
You're too bad.
About it. It's starting to feel like
highly restricted fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus, e.g., strong attachment to or preoccupation with unusual objects, excessively circumscribed, or perseverative, which means you're constantly thinking about it, interests. Now, it's a bit pathological language, medicalized clinical language, sure, but I wonder if specific hobbies like animals and books just isn't letting on how much she could be into those things and just say it, not overreacting. I'm not saying that she isn't autistic, but I can't stand when people self-diagnose and then immediately act like every trait they've ever exhibited is because of it. Literally saw one lady on Facebook say that being calmed by soothing music was one of her sensory quirks. Like, no, Brenda, that's called being a human being. Do you see videos of someone cleaning and the comments are full of, oh my God, I do this too because of my OCD? Really? You wouldn't clean because you didn't have obsessive compulsion to do it. Not only is it aggravating, but it's damaging to people who have these conditions. This comment raises a valid concern about self-diagnosis becoming a trend, but it also reveals a really big misunderstanding. Not all autistic traits are unusual or rare. We are not magic space creatures.
Yeah.
Space
Yeah,
dust.
yeah,
We are
yeah.
technically all made of space dust.
That's
Sorry for the video. Many of our
it's
traits are just
so
amplified
overlooked.
versions of
I see
human
that overlooked a
experiences.
lot.
Autistic traits are
Like,
human.
oh, what's your
The
superpower?
difference isn't in what someone does, but the intensity and the frequency and possibly the impact it has on their daily life. I mean, look, for instance, most people find
I bothered to develop a superpower.
that
Maybe
specific
I didn't
playlist
bother to
and that specific volume played in that specific order, or experience
read your
being
kind of
extroverted.
books
I
and
have
learn your kind
playlists
of
for
language
self-care
of
activities that I've
how
listened
you
to for many
socially
years. Every so often, maybe subtly change the
transmit
more elegant
your
track to them.
relevant
It's
information.
very predictable and it helps my mind settle. And I'm sure this is helpful to neurotypical folks too. Nobody's arguing that it isn't, but for once, an autistic person finding themselves something that works for them and then seeking out that specifically that sound or texture or scent to help them feel grounded, they might explain that in a few words on a comment thread like, oh, I do that too. I use music to help myself feel grounded too. It's more than necessarily what they're saying exactly. We don't need to be so literal about the exact thing people are saying in some regards. I appreciate the irony there. Cleaning example, for some autistic people, it's not just tidying. It's a rigid routine that
I
provides
actually struggle
predictability
with
and reduces anxiety, and disrupting it can be genuinely destabilizing. Now, I don't have that, but I do have a copy of How to Keep Out
whatever
of
that was,
Drowning,
and
coming to a Tea and
he
Tales
could
book
do
club
that so
video
much
review.
better than I can. How
So
I gotta
subscribe,
practice my
yes, stay in touch. Then you get it. Maybe you will win the copy of that book. I always send them away to people, signed by the cats too. I understand the frustration, though, that some people see when they see people sort of casually attributing every ordinary human behavior to autism, or at least that's what they think, that's what they're doing. And yet I agree that feels like diluting the conversation and it has the potential to make it harder for people who need less commonly seen accommodations to be taken seriously. In principle, In reality, I don't know that that's happening, but in principle, yeah, okay. As there are so many different combinations of autistic traits and characteristics that someone can have and still be autistic, the solution can't be to dismiss everyone who is exploring whether they might be autistic, to happen to know everything about themselves and to be able to communicate beautifully well online all of the time. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember the hobbies that I mentioned earlier? The hobbies example, the intense perseverative interest criteria for autism. Well, that is actually only 1 out of 4 of the possible criteria, of which you only need 2 to be present for a diagnostician to observe for a formal diagnosis. You can have no intense interests and still be a formally diagnosed autistic person. Maybe she does just like some animals and some dogs. Okay, great. And when you've met one autistic person, you have met one autistic person. Let's quickly cover, can autistic people be extroverted and enjoy parties? Because majority of the comments, roughly 60% or so, seem to be siding with the OP, saying that he's not overreacting and that the girlfriend is likely not autistic, in their opinion, and acting disrespectfully to actually autistic people, in their opinion as well. Several of these top comments echo the OP's myth that autistic people cannot be extroverted or have friends, like parties, or whatever. Now, autism affects social communication and sensory processing, but there is nothing in the diagnostic criteria for whether someone is outgoing or not. Autistic extroverts absolutely do exist. We might, in general, be more inclined towards introversion as a group. I mean, given the social differences that often work against us in many social situations, many of us have had traumatic social experiences, and that can put somebody off people for life. And of course, many of our interests and passions are solo endeavors. Autism was so named as aut, meaning self, and ism, meaning condition. So autism literally means a condition about being self-focused or self-contained. At least that's its original nomenclature. But that doesn't mean that we can't be outgoing or enjoy the company of others. It's more about how we process social information and interact with the world around us. One commenter says she could be autistic and still extroverted. Some are. Not being able to make and keep friends and feeling different are signs of it. She should get assessed before outright saying she has it. Try not to discount that she could have it. I went a little nuts when I first put 2 and 2 together. And another says, not overreacting, but don't rule out that your girlfriend might actually be autistic. Finding relatable TikToks is what led me to pursue a diagnosis that I would never have considered otherwise. Some autistic people don't look autistic, they might mask. It's possible she felt this way her whole life, but never had the words. Discovering that you are autistic later in life can be utterly world I was going to say world changing, but like world shattering. And I agree that it's not a quirk or a gimmick, more so because to have an explanation and to be able to draw on the experiences and lessons of other neurodivergent people for support can be absolutely life changing. On one hand, if you spend your whole life thinking that you are broken for struggling in ways that you see people around you seemingly cruising along, it can help to have an explanation for some of those challenges. On the other hand, there is so much misinformation out there, and I don't mean different people holding different opinions and not agreeing. I mean misrepresenting either the current diagnostic criteria or holding false beliefs about autism, like you can't be extroverted, or that you can't self-determine whether you're autistic or not and need a professional to meet you for a few hours and tell you. I can see the girlfriend's point of view, that she pushes back against the need for a formal diagnosis. After all, the diagnostic criteria isn't infallible. In fact, the whole process isn't infallible. It's entirely based on external behaviors and the presentation of the potentially autistic person during a relatively brief assessment window. There's nothing on the internal experiences at all. If this sounds a bit daft, my best story here is the man who goes to a doctor and says, "Doctor, I need an assessment. I think I might be a level 2 gay." It simply doesn't happen. You don't need your sexuality confirmed and then graded on a line on a piece of paper based on your recorded behavior. If she wants a formal assessment,
That's why I tuned in. I knew
virtually
there would
her
be
decision
laughs.
alone, it
There'll be
comes with
laughs along the way.
significant drawbacks. Not that I would put anyone off doing so. It was a life-changing core moment for me, but it isn't necessarily as simple as asking for an assessment either. The waiting lists can be many years, the cost several $1,000s. I wonder if the boyfriend would be willing to pay for the assessment. That would be an interesting way to kind of like rebalance that little little relationship dynamic,
And
right? And that doesn't mean that she
you're
can't
keying onto
benefit from
something
access to.
so fundamental. The family dynamic is dead in Western society. Like that, how in terms of how it was anchored, it's just not. This is a historical moment, friends.
She can't benefit from access to autistic community and the use of autistic supports in the meantime. She's not taking anything away from anybody, but it's definitely unwise to start conversations with strangers with, as an autistic person, I went into loads of reasons for this in my disclosure dilemma video linked on the screen and below. It's not something
But that's what I do
easy to
here.
take back.
I
And
know
not
you
everyone
guys
will
are
be
fine with
understanding of
me
such a
saying, but
disclosure.
as an autistic
You
person,
might get publicly shamed for it for a start. And sadly, it's the case that sometimes some
I
people won't
expect to
believe
get
you
shamed here.
without the formal paperwork of a diagnosis. And as many autistic people can tell you, sometimes they won't believe you even then. Many
Oh
women
yeah,
are diagnosed
that's
with
my
autism
case.
after
My
years
case.
of heavily masking. Many are burned out,
All the autistic people in
exhausted.
my
The
life are like,
diagnosis,
autism, what the fuck
an
is that?
explanation, if not support, can come as a huge, huge relief for them. Someone saying, always feeling different and having only a few trusted friends, that could easily have been in my own diagnostic report. It reads kind of similarly in part. And it's not the case that, oh, you have a friend, you can't be autistic. That's about as much of a myth as, well, you just made eye contact with me, you can't possibly be autistic. Autism and autistic features can present in outgoing, high masking adults, and it's especially tricky with women, often experience growing up intensely masking in ways that boys often generally less likely to. And it's quite possible that in that respect, she could be autistic. There's nothing in the entire Reddit post that rules out autism for me that I've read. As for following social cues, I suspect an extrovert starting conversations with everyone as an autistic person isn't exactly a perfect social butterfly. One commenter said, OP said that his girlfriend never had any problems reading social cues, and yet he's complaining that she isn't following social cues now and is embarrassing him. Exactly. The conflict isn't about what autism is or isn't. It seems to me to be inflamed by mentions of TikTok listicles and self-diagnosis.
Listicles?
Focus on
Listicles? That's a
self-identification
new one
instead of
for me.
self-diagnosis.
Good morning, good morning, happy
This
birthday.
video, I just felt the need to say that. So, talking about
Breathing the
self-diagnosis,
free air.
self-identification, self-diagnosis is right at the core of this conflict. Some
I
of the
need to I need
commenters
to
say
get this
that
shit
self-diagnosis,
together.
especially in communities where diagnosis is often inaccessible. One commenter says,
Get it today.
like boys, everyone else gets missed. So
Yeah,
self-diagnosis
keep
has
it
become
moving in
necessary for
2026.
many of us.
Keep it grooving in
Self-diagnosis
2026.
in itself isn't wrong.
Yes.
Only route if doctors won't listen. So many autistic people go the extra mile in privately putting together their binders, their notebooks, even bike maps.
Cup of tea.
Reasons why they think they might be autistic. I have never met anyone who
Cup
has
of tea, governor.
one TikTok and claimed immediately that they are now autistic and just leaving it there. It seems to be a straw man fallacy of self-identification, and it's so common. People really believe this for some reason. The consequences of someone who is influenced into thinking that they're autistic because they've seen one TikTok and that's it, maybe two TikToks, three TikToks, but you know what I mean. They clearly have a lot going on, and it's likely that this phase isn't their first, especially, well, I mean, this lady's 32 years old, right? Is this likely? Anyway, assuming that they'll likely change to something else down the line, as it would just be a phase, and I don't think that that happens. Curiosity Street.
It's a perfect example of a last ditch effort.
It's the best streaming service for original and curated document. Don't think that that happens.
Good morning,
Suspecting you're
Joe.
coping strategies, fine.
Good morning, Joe.
You meet that you're autistic without diagnosis.
Happy 2026 to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
That's weird. That's one commenter's view of this. And I'm
I
not
hope
sure
the
what they
day is
mean
treating
by
you well.
fine. I don't think autism should ever be used as an excuse, of course,
Sun is
perhaps
up.
as an explanation or
Abundant
supporting
sunshine
context.
here.
Sure. And I really must stress that I don't personally recommend telling everyone that you're autistic. It's just not a safe thing to do. Even for me, as a very much out there autistic person, 2 million views later and known to friends and family, I
Inky is
definitely don't
doing good.
need my introductions with
After all those
as
fireworks,
autistic as
he's
you see
fine.
in any conversations ever. Disclosure is personal and, in my opinion, should be intentional and thought through. I have actually put together some free flowcharts for family, friends, and
Yeah.
workplaces to help you navigate this decision if you're thinking about
Disclosure should be
disclosure in your life.
thought through.
Links below. Generally, people seem to think that the girlfriend has skipped out
That's my
on
problem.
all of the
That's how
deeper
I'm gonna
research
fix my
involved.
life in 2026. I'm
I'm
gonna
actually not
think
so
through the
sure.
shit I say.
From my own experience, I tried keeping everything under wraps until the last possible moment when I
I can do
couldn't really
that.
avoid it anymore.
I can do
I
more of
told
that.
Nina a couple of weeks before the first
I can
assessment
be more
appointment.
choosy
The
with my
girls,
words.
about the same time. I kept it to myself despite the fact I had a pile of notes and a filled binder by then. Could the girlfriend have been doing something similar, keeping it under wraps until she was more confident? The loudest theme has to be cynicism about TikTok and its various mental health trends. If you didn't know, there's a lot of short listicle content on TikTok, and sometimes it's somebody holding up a hand. Put a finger down if you can't make eye contact or struggle with eye contact. Put a finger down if you rock or move your body. Put a finger down. All that sort of stuff, right? It can be really poor quality content, but it can also be useful and helpful to a lot of people. There are a lot of people posting some really good autistic experiential content on TikTok. If you way past all of the
I
videos of
belong.
the children's meltdowns, in order to
I'm
get
embraced by the sun and the air.
there is
The
absolutely
life
a
around
trend
me is
or a fad of mental health
happening in
content loops on TikTok. One
multidimensional
commenter quipped, "Autism or algorithm?" She found herself a
abundancy,
gimmick to get more
abundancy.
attention. But what about this cynic? Ding, 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 it's all about the attention she gets. Pathetic. A lot of criticism about TikTok assumes the adoption of the autism label for some sort of points. Although the situation is a lot more complicated than that. As an autistic content creator myself, trust me, there's no autism clout over here on this side of the screen. I can I have a formal autism diagnosis.
Some clout.
Unlock chest of
Yeah.
autism supports. You have to provide them all yourself. And the autism vaccine link is massively rife on TikTok. So bad diet, autism cures, and all the other bad autism.
Oh God,
The Drexel study
that's
found
funny.
that 73% of autism videos on TikTok were inaccurate. This was a significant study from Drexel University, and it examined the accuracy of autism-related content on TikTok and found
73%
some really concerning
inaccuracy.
results. Researchers analyzed autism videos on the platform and discovered that approximately 73% contained inaccurate or misleading information about autism. Only 27% were accurate, about
Yay.
41% were inaccurate, and 32% made overgeneralizations. Maybe they contained some
Breakfast,
truth,
English
but
breakfast
they
tea for
lacked
me.
nuance or made sweeping
Yeah,
statements.
look at
In
my
other
nice,
words, nearly
nice dirty
three-quarters of
cup.
popular autism content on TikTok was found to be partially or completely inconsistent with diagnostic criteria and knowledge. The study found no significant difference in likes or views between accurate or inaccurate videos.
Clean water.
Misinformation was
We should be
just as likely
grateful.
to spread as correct information or vice versa. They noted blatant misinformation like claims of cures or diets or this product or supplement for autism or falsified statements like the debunked vaccine theories that never seem to die. There seems to be much more of these around since 2023 for some reason. Can you imagine why? Look, these can be a problem. They can
Thoughtful
lead families with autistic
disclosure.
children to pursue some really harmful interventions. They also found overgeneralizations. For example, I hate loud noise and I line up my books, so that's autism.
I'm never gonna do it.
When that implies that everyone else who's autistic has to be like that too, or just listing some very, very broad traits. TikTok is a very short form platform, so that means every TikTok creator has to
I have
boil
to do
down what they
something.
would say if they have the time, assuming that
I
they
have
put
to
the
do
energy in,
something.
into bullet points or quick tips. So that might miss out on crucial content. In 2025, the Guardian
I'm not my
newspaper
best self when
estimation
hanging out with my parents.
generate content. Autism is not a mental illness, but looking at mental health content widely on
I don't
TikTok,
feel.
they reviewed top content for the hashtag mental health
Gotta hang out
tips
with the
and
parents today,
found
though.
that
I told them I
around
would.
52% contained misinformation. BBC article in 2021 reported on a wave of adolescent girls developing tick-like behaviors after watching Tourette syndrome TikToks. And I'm not going to call it a social contagion. It's more like the power of identification via social media, in my opinion. Psychologists have noticed clusters of young people coming in with what they're calling TikTok diagnoses, saying, I think I have ADHD or autism because of TikTok. Some are correct, but many are not upon thorough evaluation. Part of the TikTok issue is that the algorithm can create a feedback loop. If you watch a few videos on a niche, it will feed you more. Soon, before you know it, your For You page might be full of poorly produced and low accuracy content that makes it seem like signs are everywhere and everything can be related to the conditions of the niche that you're watching. It's similar to a selection or confirmation bias or Baader-Meinhof effect, which is when your
Oh
brain
boy.
starts to see something
TikTok
everywhere
sounds like a
once you learn about it.
bad
TikTok,
trip. Bad trip. I don't think I'm ever gonna get on the TikToks. YouTube feels like, oh shit, the trip is kind of not the greatest, but it doesn't feel as bad as TikTok. Imagine like people in business suits and like you're, yeah, I have social anxiety. I have something called social, I'm never gonna show my face. Social terror. I see a barrier to me being thoughtful about disclosure. Disclosure to who? Learn about this funny thing called spiritual bypassing, just to complicate things. Spiritual bypassing, they call it. So I'm wanting some like emotional. This is so funny to me. I feel like thoughtful disclosure, you know what I mean? Oh, it could be acceptance. I want acceptance from my birth family. On the other side, see, and that doesn't sound deranged to you guys. I'm gonna be living the last half of my life. Listen, it's just deranged. Deranged. The identity they tried to show us at school, self-confidence or whatever, it's deranged. It's derangement for this one. Everything I could see about it looks like it's derangement to me. I don't get it. Not gonna participate. Let me opt out of that. I'll just do what I do, you know, do it the best I can. It was a trap. I got trapped. The acceptance doesn't come from the words. It comes from like the emotions and stuff. And like I'm talking about emotions of other people. They impact us. And science is showing it now with, you know, they're taking our readings. You know, we know that I hate that it's come to this. I hate that I keep art that this is my real issue. It's not the thoughtful disclosure, it's the thoughtful enclosure. It's the thoughtful enclosure. It's in keeping. I know it, it's even simpler of an idea because the first idea wasn't simple enough. Guys, it didn't work. My family are not interested. I mean, they don't have the emotional capacities I would wish they did. You know what I mean? I don't, it's not that sophisticated. All the school learning, you know what I mean? Like I was expecting some sophisticated disclosure could happen and accept, like some words could lead to my being accepted, and that's never gonna happen. I love America. I love it. I love my parents. I love English language. I do. I love it all. But when you the culture and the language together for me, no, 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 no. I've lived enough in America. I'm gonna move to ready to move on. That's all. Ready to move on from a few ideas that seem dominant in your society. I think your society is ready to move on from these stupid notions, taking a science you're taking your science philosophy too far. You're taking your medical philosophy too far. Time now for some wilding out. I encourage you, abandon all hope. It's only a psychological game, don't you know? I hope you're as hopeful and hopeless as I. It's too early in the morning. Where my homies at? Yeah. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Chafing in the chat. Cheers to the New Year's.
Right now, this would align with the experiences of so many late diagnosed women, late diagnosed adults, full stop, who
Always take
say
the
that they
sweetness.
went through a period of talking about autism all the time. I know I did. And maybe being a bit reckless in how they announced it. I definitely did that. It's out of relief and excitement to have an explanation. I did do
Yeah.
a couple of reckless disclosures, so that's how I know. If she's diving into ND social media content, it implies to me a genuine interest and self-education attempt. If she's been masking for years, her current outspoken behavior might be a sort of unmasking, like a pendulum that's been held to one extreme for 32 years and then finally being allowed to swing the other way. Maybe she's tired of hiding and is now almost oversharing autism to feel authentic. Her emotional reaction, crying and then feeling unsupported, could indicate that this is a very real need to her and not some joke. And she might have felt a huge revelation and expected her partner to validate it and is hurt that he didn't. If this explanation, and remember these are my hot takes, would expect to find more evidence of autistic traits in her past, maybe in childhood stories or internal experiences that she hadn't shared openly before. We might also expect that if she were fairly evaluated, that she might indeed meet criteria. The OP hasn't provided such evidence. Perhaps he doesn't know or he doesn't see it. She might show sensory sensitivities or have hidden childhood obsessions. Was it to an extreme compared to her peers in general? Her currently reported behavior of telling everyone she's autistic is socially off and too much information for new acquaintances. So is she masking less now? It's paradoxical, but psychologically plausible. I don't immediately buy into the quirky autism TikTok trend clout misdiagnosis messaging that so many have in the comments on Reddit here. She's a 32-year-old woman with no prior interest, apparently, to wholly convert to a false self diagnosis because of social media. I mean, if she was so inclined, she probably would have done it by now, right? Multiple times. The OP would have mentioned it if it were a pattern. Usually, the group most at risk to be misled online are teens and young adults. By 32, I would expect more skepticism or at least the inclination to double check.
That's exactly
If
right.
she is an
That's
otherwise legible
exactly right.
person, why is she so convinced? Possibly because it does resonate with her real
Yeah,
experiences in some way.
that's my
Also, she has no
inclination.
neurodivergence at all. Maintaining this as a fake persona in and of itself is like masking, and it might be hard longer term. She could be craving community and meaning that comes with a neurodivergent identity. And I know I was, and if she's feeling lost or isolated, maybe adopting this label gives her a sense of belonging. And I'm proud to say that despite the general flavour of comments under this post, the neurodivergent and autistic communities online are generally very welcoming to all neurotypes. You don't even need to be autistic. It's notable she immediately wants to tell people that she's autistic. Maybe she likes the attention or the instant identity that it gives her in conversation. It could be a way to shape how people see
I
her.
need a new icebox,
Could be a
dudes.
need for recognition or
This thing is
validation.
driving me up the walls.
Why am I waffling
Have a
about
nice
this?
one, brother.
Because I
I'm
think
actually
it's
getting off of here.
generalizable. It's the word I'm going for. I feel like this
Keeping it moving.
scenario has played out in so many people's lives. To a degree, I can relate to quite a lot of what's been posted there. So that's why we're making a YouTube video about it. If this ever gets shared and it gets back to the OP or the girlfriend, this is what I want to say. For the original poster, please don't correct her publicly again. You shamed her and made her defensive. How do you think she's going to react? Hard conversations should always happen in private. That's just a rule. Number two, second thing is it pays to be curious in life, not cynical. Skeptical, sure, but curious. Ask her what resonated with you. What traits did you recognize in what you saw?
Yeah, it pays to be curious.
Thirdly,
Nice.
frame the accusations. So a little less stop lying and a little more let's understand what's really going on. Like say what you mean. If say I want to support you, but I need to understand. I need some clarity here. I'm confused. That's fine.
Yeah.
Also, maybe look
The
into
lack of
if she is
that
autistic, she's spent 32 years hiding it.
clarity in the
Also,
post is
discovery feels a
concerning.
bit explosive. That's normal. Give it time. She hasn't changed. She's the same person. But on the other hand,
Or,
maybe I
it details to say,
now through a new lens, like trying on some glasses for the first time. For the girlfriend, the holy horses.
to give us
Slow down,
any
public
clue of the
disclosure.
emotional context
Protect
of the
those
relationship
statements and diagnosis
changing,
update.
the
And you don't owe
dynamism of
anyone
it,
an
I guess.
explanation. You don't owe them copies of your medical history, anything like that. Okay. 14 bucks
works out together. So yoga is not exercise; it's a gym for your soul. It's the overall speed.
Gym for the soul, yoga, 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 yoga.
The
Yoga,
it's like
yoga.
connected. I that's a part of it.
Putta, putta, Puteshwara, Yoga, Kale, Kaleshwara, Yoga, Shiva, Shiva, Sarveshwara, Yoga, Shambho, Shambho, Mahadev, yeah. Yeah, this was a live stream coming to you through you, etheric activating.